Mention the name Saint Augustine, and you probably picture a dusty theologian in a quiet stone church. But the real man wrote a shockingly raw autobiography detailing his sex obsession, his severe career anxiety, and an unfillable void that he felt tearing him apart from the inside. In 397 AD, Augustine wrote the Confessions. His core argument is that humans are manufactured with a design flaw, an internal vacuum. He wrote that our hearts are inherently restless, and they will stay restless until they lock into their true divine purpose. To understand his spiral, you have to look at his origins. He was a brilliant, rebellious teenager growing up in 4th century North Africa. He was caught in a cultural tug-of-war between the devout Christian faith of his weeping mother, Monica, and the ambitious pagan world of his father. Instead of adopting his mother's religion, Augustine decides to cure his own internal restlessness by consuming every ounce of pleasure, status, and philosophy the late Roman Empire has to offer. Augustine's writing isn't a history, it's a detailed mapping of a brilliant mind attempting to outrun its own existential dread through worldly success. His first attempt to fill the void is by chasing cheap thrills. As a teenager, he and his friends sneak out late at night to rob a neighbor's pear tree, hauling away massive loads of fruit just to throw it to the pigs. Years later, this incident terrifies him. He realizes he wasn't actually hungry. He stole the pears because he loved the thrill of doing something he knew was wrong. Looking for a bigger high, he moves to the metropolis of Carthage. He describes the city as a cauldron of unholy loves. He dives headfirst into the theater, the gladiatorial games, and takes a concubine, eventually having a son with her out of wedlock. His mother is horrified. To justify his lifestyle and tune out her constant crying, Augustine joins a popular secretive sect known as the Manichaees. The Manichaees taught that the physical universe and the human body are inherently evil, while the spiritual soul is pure light. According to them, your soul is entirely separate from your body, meaning it isn't responsible for the sins of your flesh. Joining this group gave Augustine an intellectual loophole. He could indulge in whatever he wanted while telling himself it wasn't the real him doing it. But he quickly learned that dodging accountability doesn't fix a restless heart. The anxiety pushes him to work harder. He climbs from Africa to Rome and finally reaches Milan to serve as the official rhetoric professor for the emperor, the man responsible for shaping the public image of the most powerful person on earth. Walking through the streets of Milan, flush with cash and status, he spots a destitute beggar. The man is drunk, joking, and joyous. Augustine is devastated. He realizes that all of his imperial prestige and his grueling intellectual labor have yielded less actual happiness than a beggar gets from a few coins of cheap wine. He begins listening to Bishop Ambrose and reading Platonist philosophy, which shifts how he views the world. He stops seeing evil as a dark physical substance locked in a cosmic war, and starts seeing it as a perversion of the will, a human choice to turn away from a higher good. This diagram illustrates his resulting paralysis. He now knows what is true, but his habits have destroyed his willpower. Trapped in a chasm between knowledge and actions, he famously prays, "Give me chastity, only not yet." In a small garden in Milan, suffering a massive panic attack, he hears a child's voice chanting, "Tonle lege," take up and read. He grabs a Bible, opens it to Romans 13, and reads a single passage commanding him to abandon his lusts. In an instant, the internal war ends. Augustine's resolution suggests that intellectual comprehension alone is a dead end. For the war inside his heart to stop, he has to abandon the struggle for control and surrender the human ego entirely. The fallout is immediate. Augustine quits his imperial job and is baptized alongside his teenage son and his best friend. This decision also resolves his mother's lifelong struggle. Waiting for a ship in the port of Ostia, Augustine and Monica share a profound conversation about eternity. Just days later, she falls ill and dies, her life's mission complete. Years later, Augustine is writing this autobiography as a respected bishop. He admits he is still not perfect. He confesses that he continues to struggle daily with pride, overeating, and lustful dreams. But there is a difference in his baseline reality. He still has daily flaws, but the crippling existential terror, the gnawing vacuum in his chest, is gone. By documenting this deeply internal journey, Augustine created the first psychological autobiography.
giving Western civilization a new way to examine the self. Written 1600 years ago, the Confession suggests that no amount of status or pleasure can fix a broken internal compass, and that true freedom is found only when you stop running.